Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo Part 10. Today we may very well reach the end of Act 1 and start on Act 2 with the girl of my dreams, Hanako. And now, the continuation of the story. Sleeping late is fine, since it's a Sunday and there are no classes. Not just a Sunday, though, but the festival as well. From my window I could already see some people at the soba booth slinging noodles onto plates for people with a craving for low-quality food. I throw back a handful of my morning meds and ponder how to spend the day. There will be a few exams in the coming week, but I don't consider those as ominous as others, so I'm not as worried about them as I probably should be. With no urgent obligations regarding education, I should be free to spend the day at the festival as I like. Finishing my morning routine, I exit into the hallway, intending to go out and find something to eat. Passing by his door, I decide to see what Kenji's up to today out of impulse. I'm curious if he has any plans, since everyone is doing something. Then again, I can picture him having built a soundproof shelter in his room. Or possibly something like a fort, complete with no girls allowed sign. And with the girls crossed out and body crudely scrawled underneath it. Knocking on his door, which is luckily devoid of any kind of sign, I hear again the unsettling clicking of at least 10 locks being pulled back. The door opens up a crack. Who is it? You're supposed to ask that before you open the door. Oh, it's you! Damn, it's early. It's not really that early. What is it, man? Nothing. Was just gonna ask what you're gonna do today. Half the school is out there already. Out where? Why? What? What? Is today special? Why are they there? Why are they there? Who are? I can hear them. It's loud. Don't tell me. Has the invasion begun? He suddenly looks more alarmed. What day is it, man? Yeah, I guess you can't see the big wooden booths outside and people selling stuff. What the hell are you talking about? I have my curtains closed at all times to thwart the snipers. It's the festival. You know that, right? Oh shit, that's today? Ah, damn. Damn it! I can't believe I forgot! I don't have my fort finished yet. This is bad. This is going to be a very bad day. It's good you told me this, man. This is going to be a bad day. Why? Oh man, they're going to be everywhere. The people outside my window socializing. Kenji rubs his temples nervously, suddenly looking very ill. It's going to be loud as hell. Damn! And I was going to go out today, but now it's ruined. Everything is ruined. This is awful. This sucks. This sucks. What the hell? This really sucks. I can't go anywhere now. There's nowhere to run. Kenji seems nervous. You could even say he's majorly freaking out. I can't believe this. So that's what that today was. Damn, and I couldn't even prepare for it. I couldn't even brace myself, and now it's here, and I can't do anything. You should have told me this earlier, dude. I mean, at least I know, but I could have known earlier. Imagine what I could have accomplished. Sorry, I thought you knew. So I guess you're not going to do anything today. The weather is even good. Yesterday was really windy, so I thought today would be cold. It's not, though, so there's no reason to just stay inside. Yeah, you should check the festival out. Kenji groans and covers his face with his hands. No, I can't do it. They'll eat me alive out there, I know it! That has to be a joke, but he said it with such a straight face. Relatively straight. What are you going to do? We should hang out in here. You can help me build my fort. We might still make it if we work together. I don't know. I'm pretty hungry, so I thought I'd get some food first and then check out the attractions. Your class project seemed pretty cool, and I gave a hand with it, so I want to see at least that one and chat with Lilly, I guess. Speaking of that, don't you have any obligation for the project? Are you out of your mind? That blind broad is up to no good. I can feel it in my spleen, man. Her presence is like a dark shadow that's in the way of my great vision. As expected of blind people. What? Besides, I thought that you were also. He holds up his hand to interrupt me. Only legally. Metaphorically, I can see farther than any man before me has seen. Kenji looks stoically into the metaphorical distance to emphasize his statement, thrusting his chin forward to look manlier. Actually, it's just a corridor wall 2 meters away, but it's all the same. I can see the future of mankind, and it's a dark one unless the threat of women is stifled. They are everywhere. He fingers his scarf nervously, faster and faster, like he is trying to start a fire, then slowly begins to calm down once the panic attack finishes running its course. I'm going to have to find someplace to hide in, a safe haven, and then knock the lights out of myself so that I don't have to experience this horrible day. I have the perfect thing for that. I must prepare now. Don't go to the festival. Okay. Later, dude. The door slowly closes with a low creak, and I don't know how to feel about what Kenji just said. After buying a plastic plate of takoyaki from a stall belonging to the class next to ours, I take a seat in the school gardens and watch people pass as I tentatively nibble away at the rather bland-tasting item. I guess I shouldn't complain, it's better than nothing, and it didn't cost much. As I look out towards the school, watching the people coming and going proves a surprisingly entertaining way of passing the time as I eat. Little children accompanied by parents or grandparents scamper about in the din from event to event, one hand dragging their company and the other bearing an oversized colorful snack. I can't help but notice the age range among the people here is skewed towards the elderly, something that I'd also noticed when I was walking around town. This must be one of those towns where the only people left are those that lived here their whole lives and ardently refused to leave, and those wanting to live out the rest of their days in one of the increasingly few tranquil places. I guess that also goes away to explaining how conservative Yamaku's school culture seems to be. Not that I mind one bit. I kind of like how calm Yamaku and its surroundings are. The heat, though, is another matter entirely. Sitting in one place for so long has focused my mind on how annoyingly humid it's getting, now that the hottest part of the day is here. I'd better get moving if... Gah! The sound of the Carolyn bells take me completely by surprise as I stand up, a reaction shared by a few of the people strolling around as well. The PA system crackles to life after the tolling bells end. Its age shows as the principal makes a barely intelligible announcement over it, officially opening the festival that's very much in full swing. It's quite amusing to contrast the pleasant smiles of the older folk against the alternatively pained and bored grimaces of their younger charges. The students, on the other hand, seem to pay it little heed. Nevertheless, as the address finally ends, all are united in polite, if not overly enthusiastic applause, and then get back to business. Slipping a hand in my pocket to look as relaxed as possible, I casually glance around for something to do. It's somewhat difficult to see very far with all the people around. I decide to fall back on a tried and trusted rule. Go where everyone else seems to be gathering. Right now, that's the school courtyard and surroundings. Throwing the used plate into a trash can, I make my way towards the school building. Seeing the numbers of stalls around in the perimeter of the school building surprises me. Quite a few of the classes must have opted to have multiple stalls. In deciding which to visit first, I catch sight of a familiar banner with a blue patterned border and red text. Lilly Stall's is as good a place to start as any. I'm curious as to how it's going after all the work she and her class have been doing for it. Stepping up to it, I begin to see why the class took so long to organize everything. Easily twice as wide as many of the other stalls and with equipment for cooking strewn everywhere. It's closer to an outdoor restaurant than a festival event. As a student in front of me takes a bowl of noodles and leaves, I walk up to the counter. The girl behind it seems quite exasperated and asks me to wait a moment before she disappears underneath the counter. Seizing the moment, I take a quick glance around. Steam seems to be rising from everywhere as pots and pans simmer away. The most blind of the students are unpacking ingredients while being helped by someone who is probably the teacher of 3 too. It doesn't take long to notice Lilly among them, talking with the teacher as she quickly counts out the boxes and packets with her fingers. From her expression and the fact that both she and the teacher seem to be in a state of mild confusion, it appears that there's been some problem in coordination. Before I can stare any longer, the girl behind the counter pops up again, only to look back and ask where the spare change box is. Lilly pauses for a moment before she and the girl switch places at the counter and the teacher quickly walks off somewhere. Sorry about that. We're having a few problems. What would you like? It takes me a second to remember what I'd come here for. My eyes quickly dart to the side to read the menu sitting on the counter. Oh, I guess some miso soup? Ah, is that Hisao? Yep, looks like you're pretty busy. Her face all but confirms it as she drops her waitress facade. Somewhere along the line our order got mixed up. We're trying to fix it now, but it looks like we only have half of what we needed. Wouldn't serving smaller portions cover over the problem? It seems like that's what we'll have to do, though I wish we didn't. The fact that a good half of our class is gone doesn't help either. I glance behind her to see how many people are actually operating the stall. It couldn't be over about 8. I take it that's why your teacher left.
That's right. She's going to try to round up a few more of our classmates to help.
Hearing the sound of footsteps behind me, I stealthily glanced backwards to see an elderly couple taking a place in the line. I guess I'd better stop loitering around and chatting. Here's the money for the soup.
Soup? Oh, right. Coming right up.
Lilly turns and calls for a bowl of miso soup as I hand over the money for it. Taking the coins in her palm, I can't help but notice how efficiently she counts them out with her long, pale fingers. Eventually satisfied that I've handed over correct change, she puts it into a small metal tray. It isn't long before the soup is made and carefully handed to her, after which she turns and subsequently passes it to me. Thanks. I'll come back to drop off the bowl.
Thank you, Hisao. Oh, there is one other thing. Have you seen Hanako?
Hanako? No, not today. Why? She gives a small sigh of abject disappointment.
It's okay. I was just wondering what she was doing for the festival. You'll come back when you're done, then?
Sure, I'll keep an eye out for Hanako, too.
Thank you, Hisao.
I walk up from the stall and find a seat, carefully cradling the steaming wooden bowl in both hands. Compared to the dumplings from before, this is quite nice. A little cool compared to what it probably should be, perhaps, but the flavor is enough to cover for that reasonably well. As I drink, I can't help but feel somewhat guilty for not being as involved in the festival as the others. It can't really be helped, considering I was dropped into the school only a week ago, but it still weighs heavily on my mind. That and the fact that a few students don't really seem to be enjoying the festival as much as the visitors. Eventually, I finish my bowl and leave for the stall to drop it off. Considering that there seems to be no line at all, I take my time walking up. It seems the teacher's mission paid off. There are now over a dozen students helping, and much of the unpacking has been done. Despite most of them seeming quite relaxed as they work, Lilly still appears to be somewhat stressed. Lilly doesn't look impressed at all, and I can't really blame her. On top of her issues with her stall, she still seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help her with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off her shy mutual friend. Placing the bowl back on the counter, I call out to Lilly. Hey Lilly, don't worry about Hanako. I'll go find her and hang out with her, okay? I can see Lily's relief plainly written across her face.
Thanks, Hisao. And if you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please?
Will do. Have a good one, and make sure you take a break, okay?
I will if I can. See you later, Hisao.
I leave Lilly in the stall and head out in search of Hanako. In a way, I feel bad for leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she is enjoying herself. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grain of the crowd. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than your usual festive crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. This is not surprising since I am standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I am in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partitioned desks, I see the top of a head with straight dark hair catching my eye. Hey Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeping over the partition.
Hisao?
Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you.
Oh. Do you want to sit down?
Actually, I am feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands?
I brought some food, so...
I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by it on the way here and no one was around. We can make some food there, and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say?
Sure. Let's go.
Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate, practiced movements. Good to go?
Yeah.
We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there is barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks.
What?
I don't know, it looked like you were tripping on or something. A pink blush rises into her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor.
It's nothing.
You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she is going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when...
It's, a game.
Game?
Do you see the floor here?
What a bizarre question. The floor looks just like any other floor, covered in those tiles made up from squares of linoleum. Nothing noteworthy. Well, yes, what about it?
Sometimes, when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones.
Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues, until I could barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hall. Darker ones? Shuffling her feet, Hanako points the toe of her shoe at a tile that is barely a shade darker than the others.
Well, like these ones.
Oh, right, so these ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty? She nods. Well then, no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I noticed that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder, just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the open window makes it worth it. Without thinking, I walk to the windowsill and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clean the air is here compared to back home.
Would you like some tea?
That would be great, thanks. It occurs to me that this is the first time I've been alone with Hanako without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the window, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's... calm. Eventually she places the small tray on the table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why you like this room now.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, there are quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles.
Yeah, you're right. It's like the world has forgotten this room. And because of that, you could forget about the outside.
That would be appealing in some cases. As far as I could tell, conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school. But then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lilly. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you could forget its existence would hold a special appeal. That's a good point. It's like this room gives you some kind of complete freedom.
Yeah. Say, do you play chess?
Chess? I've played it a bit, I guess. I take it you've played before?
A little.
Without saying anything more, Hanako moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set.
Do you want?
Sure, why not? I cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind it. We arrange the pieces, and before long we are sending pawns charging to their inevitable fates. I take my time and intently examine each move and its consequences, nostalgia for the game taking second place to the matters at hand. For a time, the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear a line in her defense. A few moves later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Checkmate. You're not bad at this, are you? An honest appraisal. Her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its age.
I guess not.
Does Lilly play? The absence of Hanako's answer causes me to think about my question.
A bit. This is the first time I've played against someone other than her. Or... She cuts herself off abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Yamaku, maybe. Well then, I'm honored to have played against you. Can we play again?
She asked if we were asking me to cut off my own... She asked as if she were asking me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competition's gotten into her? Sure, though don't expect me to go easy on you this time. Not that I was before, mind. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone.
Same here.
As we are setting up the pieces, there is a noise at the door. And mind you, my cheeks are welling up over here with her smile. Oh, Hanako, I love you. Oh, let me read this again. As we are setting up the pieces, there is a noise at the door.
Good afternoon. Lilly.
Oh, hey there, Lilly. Are you finished? You both are here? Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round up some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left? Pretty much. We've just been playing a bit of chess.
What? Would you like a cup of tea?
Actually, I think it may be a good idea to go outside for a little while. The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to this plan, even though she says nothing. I feel strangely compelled to voice what is plainly in view of her on her face, but Lilly can't see. I kind of think that we should just stay here.
Really? It's so crowded here that I was thinking we should leave the school and head for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course. With everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty.
Tea house?
Oh, that's right. You probably don't know of it. There's a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often.
Sounds like a plan. Hanako, what do you think? Hanako jumps a little at being forced into the conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before.
If it's a Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well then, it's settled. Let's be on our way.
Hanako and I rise from the table in our preempted chess game. Before I could do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Looks like we're ready now. Please, lead on. Hanako moves to Lily's side and we venture onto the school's corridors. The pair leads me through a series of unfamiliar doors and we emerge on the side of the building opposite of the festival grounds. Insulated by the heavy stone of the building, the noise from the crowd has faded to a murmur. Strange. I thought that most people would be beginning to leave by now.
They're probably here to view the fireworks.
Fireworks?
Yes, apparently the school puts on quite a show. A lot of people come from town just to watch them.
Lily's decision to leave the school grounds seems to make sense now. Hanako would probably have a hard time with the whole town descending onto the school. Or ascending, as the case may be. For the second time since arriving at Yamaku, I find myself walking down this road with Lilly. Only now that I could barely hear the incessant noise of the festival do I realize how loud it was. I could hear my ears ringing slightly in the still evening air as they recover from the day's assault on them. Hanako clings to Lilly, but still manages to guide her along the road. That, and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians, appears to completely sap her constitution. She rarely raises her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lilly, on the other hand, maintains her prim and proper persona, just as she does in school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance, rather than hiding it as Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in their way of holding themselves outside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates the specialness of it. But once we venture outside the school gates, we are returned to the status of outsider and generic labels. Especially when we are still in school uniform. It's like hanging a sign around your neck challenging people to figure out what is wrong with you. I'm surprised that so many of the students keep it on. Then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students, I guess it's not really that much of a giveaway. Or maybe I'm the only one that sees this as a stigma. Maybe you get used to it after a time, like any other school uniform. The tea house seems fairly standard from the outside, just an ordinary building with the typical signs decorating the entrance. It looks like the type of place you'd walk by without a thought, just another generic cafe in a sea of thousands. If Hanako hadn't steered Lilly into the entrance, I would have continued on down the road without ever knowing that it existed. Inside the tea house, it takes on a more traditional feel. Everything seems to have been made from the same lump of timber, from the counter and benches to the high-backed booths around the wall. But the most striking feature of the room is the lack of life. I think I can faintly hear something bubbling away in the background, but otherwise the room is silent. Without any direction, we simply wait near the entrance, politely obeying the "please wait to be seated" sign. Is this place closed or something? The sound of a chair falling over echoes throughout the empty room, and a head shoots up from inside a booth.
I wasn't asleep, and welcome to the Shanghai.
Yuko, dressed in a pastel apron and clutching a menu, rushes to greet us. Her misaligned glasses of ruffled hair cast suspicion on her previous statement. But whether she was asleep or not isn't the first question that leaps to my mind. You work here now? What happened to the library?
What? Lilly? Hisao? Welcome to the Shanghai.
Yuko, still waking up, jerks into a violent bow, dislodging her glasses in the process.
Ah, my glasses!
As I pick up her spectacles off the floor, Lilly offers an explanation.
Yuko works here part-time as well as at the library. It's one of the reasons we like to come here.
Yuko takes her glasses from my hand, shakily putting them back on.
Yes, that's right. Thanks. Shall I show you to your table? There's no one else here, so you can choose your table and order whatever you like. But there may be a delay, as I'll have to make it myself. It's alright, Yuko. Just a pot of black tea and a plate of sandwiches will be fine. Right. I'll get right on to that.
Yuko hurries off to the back of the cafe, leaving us still standing at the entrance. She pushes the swinging half doors open before realizing that she hasn't seated us.
I'm sorry. Please sit wherever you like. I'll be right back.
Following her advice, I lead Lilly to the nearest booth as Hanako follows. As I begin to sit next to Lilly, I realize how appropriate this place is for Hanako. The high-backed booths totally separate you from the rest of the room, and it doesn't look like it gets all that many customers. All of the furnishings, from the cushions on the benches to the condiment holders, look dated but aren't overly worn. I wonder if Lilly deliberately selects places like this to take Hanako. She seems like the type that would go to lengths to cater to Hanako's unique predicament.
So, Hisao, I didn't know you played chess.
Well, not very well, but I do know how to play.
I suppose the obvious question would now be, who won?
Lilly's innocent smile makes me hesitate. I don't really want to look like I'm lording my victory over Hanako.
Hisao did.
Yes, but not by much. Damn. Saying that out loud makes me feel like I've done something terrible.
Well done, Hisao. You've accomplished something I've only ever failed at.
Thanks. I haven't played in ages, so it felt good to play again.
Yes, it did.
Hanako fidgets with her hair a little and looks away as she replies, but a small smile emerges. Oh, she's so cute. Alrighty, folks, gonna cut it off here. So stay tuned for Let's Play Katawa Shoujo Part 11, when we continue our conversation in the Shanghai with Lilly and Hanako, and we'll find out where things go from there. Anyways, see you later, peoples.